Hi everyone and welcome to the second installment in my favourites of 2022 series. In this video we are going to be talking about my favourite under eye colour correctors and my favourite under eye concealers. If my ultimate favourite is not affordable or cruelty free, I'm also going to give you my favourites in those categories as well. So we're going to get straight on with it. No waffle in this video. If you're new here, hi, my name's Gemma. I upload new content on YouTube every single week. I am doing the favourites of 2022 series at the moment, so if you don't want to miss any future videos, I would love it if you would click the like button, the subscribe button and the notification bell. So we're going to jump straight in to my ultimate favourite under eye colour corrector, which is actually a change from last year's. That does not mean that the NARS creamy under eye corrector is a bad product. I just know that a lot of people were struggling to get the shade light, and I featured it on my channel all the time. I thought I would try out some new ones, and I tried this out and really loved it. This is from Clinique and it's the Even Better All Over Primer Plus Colour Corrector, and it is lovely. This is in the shade Peach, but I do believe it comes in other shades as well. I just dot the tiniest little bit over my discoloration, nowhere else, pat that out with my fingers, allow it to dry down, and then apply concealer over the top. Sometimes, because of the shade of this and because of the shade of my skin tone, I don't need to apply concealer over the top. If I'm just pottering around the house or running errands, that's the way that I do it sometimes. Other people, if you have a slightly different skin tone to mine, they may not work like that for you. So I often use this as a colour corrector or as a standalone concealer. So there are drawbacks and positives to this product. I've never had an issue with it. I don't find it drying underneath my eyes at all. However, this does have caffeine in the mix, and caffeine usually dries my under eyes out. This hasn't done that on this occasion, and I use it all the time, so I'm hoping that that does not do that for you either. If you suffer with melia underneath your eyes from using products that are seriously rich that your under eye cannot handle, this may also be good for you because it has the tiniest amount of salicylic acid within the formula. Again, not enough to dry my under eyes out, but it will help to prevent those melia over time by making sure that the pores are cleansed deep down. Again, this is a makeup product, it's not skincare, so it's not going to do wonders, the salicylic acid within this formula, but it might help if you do suffer with oily under eyes. This also has niacinamide, peptides and glycerin within the formula, so although you should never treat makeup as your standalone skincare, you should always prep under the eyes before you apply any makeup underneath there. This will help to hydrate the skin, to look after the skin barrier and to increase collagen production. This is also alcohol-free, fragrance-free and essential oil-free, so I really like this and it's effective. It lasts all day on me, it doesn't spread out where you don't want it. It's very easy to blend in the areas where it's required. It's just a great product. So I forgot to show you the applicator of the Clinique Even Better Colour Corrector. It's really nicely shaped. It hugs the contours of the under eyes. If you like to apply the colour corrector directly underneath the eyes, that's very easy to do that with this. I personally don't do that. I find that you get a lot of product on the end of the applicator, so you have to be very careful not to apply too much underneath the eye, and because of that I like to apply it on the back of my hand first before I go in with my fingertips. But it still is a lovely product. I just prefer to use my fingers rather than the applicator. So can somebody tell me when Clinique became not cruelty free? Because I always assumed that Clinique was a cruelty free brand. Was that a recent occurrence? Were they never cruelty free? Blew my mind when I was making sure which products were cruelty free and which ones weren't to include in this video that Clinique was not cruelty free anymore. Have I just been asleep for the last 10 years? I have no idea. Anyway, my cruelty-free alternative, my cruelty-free favourite, goes to RODIAL colour correctors. These are the Lowlighters, and they're in the shade Peach and Banana. I only have the mini ones. These come larger as well if you want to go big, but I don't think you need to because these are going to last you a really long time. If you use them as just an under eye colour corrector, you won't use a lot of these on a daily basis. I tend not to use these underneath concealer. I save these for over the top of concealer. So rather than like a regular colour corrector where you would apply the colour corrector and then the concealer over the top. I would apply the concealer first, and if any discoloration is poking through, just go over with a little bit of the Lowlighter depending on what pigmentation is poking through. If it's more purpley, go for the banana color corrector. If it's more bluey, go for the peach color corrector. You'll have great success. It doesn't show up on the skin, at least it doesn't on mine. You may have a difference of opinion if you have a slightly different skin tone than mine, but it just looks amazing. And just like the Clinique color corrector, I can wear these on their own if I'm wearing very little makeup. They look beautiful. They're really stunning on the skin. They give the skin a bit of a glow. They reflect the light from the area, and they just look really, really nice. And again, very similarly to the Clinique color corrector, these last all day and they do not crease on me. So I like to keep these in my handbag. So during the day, if I feel like there is a little bit of discoloration poking through, if maybe I've not applied these in the morning, but I'm just feeling a little bit tired and need my eyes to look a bit more awake and I want to look a bit more refreshed, a little bit of these on the pad of my finger, just pat those in place, instantly awake. Love these. The RODIAL Lowlighter applicator is very different to the Clinique under eye corrector. This one is more of a paddle shaped. There is quite a lot of give within the applicator, so again, this is very easy to apply directly underneath the eye area if that's the way you like to apply. Again, I like to apply it to the back of my hand. The RODIAL Lowlighter is also alcohol-free, fragrance-free, and essential oil-free. Again, it does contain a little bit of caffeine within the formula, so if you are ultra sensitive to caffeine, this one might not be for you. But like I said earlier on, very unusually for caffeine in under eye products, this doesn't dry my under eyes out. My affordable and cruelty-free favourite under eye corrector goes to Revolution Conceal and Correct. There is absolutely nothing wrong with this product whatsoever, and it is seriously affordable. I do use it slightly differently though. It's slightly more limited than the previous two. So for this one, I only use this underneath concealer. As a standalone product, colour corrector, using it as a concealer as well as a colour corrector, it doesn't blend into the skin well enough for me, so looks a little bit patchy. Underneath concealer, utter perfection. Absolutely amazing. Cancels out my dark circles. It is unbelievable. This is such a good product. It is always on sale for some reason. I'm not quite sure why, but because it's always on sale and everybody runs out to buy it when it's on sale, a lot of people struggle to buy the shade Peach in this because it's constantly out of stock. So get it when you can. Do not wait. It is a great shade. Just completely cancels out my dark circles. I only apply it on my darkness. I don't apply it anywhere else. And then concealer over the top of it. I don't find this drying at all, although I have heard people say that they do find it drying. That's not my experience. That doesn't mean I am the only opinion here. I know everybody's skin is completely different, but I love this. I think it's great. There are several shades to choose from, so if you do have a much deeper skin tone than mine or a much fairer skin tone than mine, there may be a better shade match for you on the website, but definitely check it out. They also have a green color corrector for redness and a yellow color corrector for brightness as well, so lots to choose from. I think they're great. Before we jump into under eye concealers, I just want to touch on spot concealing for a second because it's a completely different story. I use a separate concealer for spot concealing than I do for application underneath the eyes. In fact, this next concealer is horrendous underneath my eyes. It looks terrible, and yet it covers my imperfections so quickly and blends out effortlessly, so I need to give it a mention. This is the NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer. I have the shade Light to Vanilla, and it's just a dream. It's a dream to work with. Like I said, horrendous underneath the eyes. However, on top of imperfections, apply this before you do your foundation or tinted moisturizer, or if you're not wearing any of that, just apply this and let it dry down for around about 5 minutes. Then with the tip of your finger, if you're not wearing any foundation or tinted moisturizer, just pad this over the top and it blends out like a dream. If you are wearing foundation or tinted moisturizer or any sort of thing over the top of this, just stipple it on over the top, and again, this blends out beautifully. You can add a little bit more over the top if you lose a bit of coverage, but it looks lovely and it looks skin-like and it stays on all day, and you definitely want that if you have any imperfections on your skin like I do. I don't want to be looking in a mirror all day long to check my skin is still looking okay, and I don't have to do that. I know my skin is going to look up here when I have this product on. This looks after me. This has my back. Let's move on to favourite concealers, and just like last year in my favourites of 2021 series, I have two concealers that have taken my ultimate favourite top spot, and that's because it's very, very difficult to find a concealer that does it all. So both of these concealers I could quite easily use on their own as a standalone concealer, but in my opinion, mixed together you create the best powerhouse of a concealer that does it all in coverage, in shade, in longevity, in non-crease worthiness, just simply amazing. The first concealer I want to talk about is the Lancome All Over Concealer, which featured in last year's favourites as well. I've lost count how many different concealers I've tried in 2022, and yet this is still in my #1 top spot for a great reason. The formula of this is absolutely spectacular. It has stretchability within the formula, and I am an incredibly expressive person. With that expressiveness comes a lot of movement underneath the eye, and usually movement will create creasing in concealers. Well, not with this one, because this concealer is like spandex and it moves along with the movement underneath the eyes. I just think it is a genius product, and along with that, it doesn't contain alcohol, fragrance, or essential oils either. It's a really hydrating formula, and yet it does not move. It's absolutely unreal, unbelievable. I've been using this all year. I do think it lends itself very well to being mixed with another formula though, because this one doesn't give me 100% coverage, and sometimes I need 100% coverage. So I like to mix it with a concealer that's more powerful in the coverage department. And by doing that, you lend the flexibility of this formula to the other formula with more coverage. So the concealer I like to mix it with is the Huda Beauty Faux Filter Concealer. This is a new find for me this year. You can easily use this on its own without mixing it with the Lancome concealer, but I just think the Lancome concealer adds that flexibility to this formula that it doesn't originally have. So both of these together are an absolute powerhouse of a concoction, and never ever steer me wrong. I also like to use the Huda Beauty concealer to lighten off this in the winter, and I also have another one that will actually deepen this off in the summer if I need it to. So the shade that I have in this, I have Coconut Flakes 2.7N. That is my summer shade, and I have the shade Meringue, which is 2.1N for my winter shade. Mix these two together in the winter, mix these two together in the summer. Just love them. They are amazing. Like I said, the Huda Beauty Faux Filter has masses of coverage. It is amazing in the coverage department. It's also sweat, humidity, and transfer resistant. So by mixing it with the Lancome, you're also giving the Lancome a little bit of those qualities as well. Obviously, you're lessening it a little bit by mixing the two formulas together, but still, a little bit of that will still be present within the concoction, which is why I like mixing. Again, it's a non-drying formula. It's alcohol, fragrance, and essential oil free, which I really like underneath my eyes. And mixed together, you get the most beautiful satin matte finish, which is incredibly flattering on my under eyes. So the Lancome comes in 20 shades. I am the shade 110, 010, or Ivo C. It's very, very confusing, the shade range at Lancome. I'm not quite sure I understand it myself, but that's what's written on the bottle. And the Huda Beauty comes in 29 shades, and I have the shade 2.1N and also 2.7N as well. Like I said, you can use both of these concealers separately as standalone products, but mixed together, I just think they're unreal. So the Huda Beauty concealer is cruelty free, but both of these products definitely aren't affordable. So let's move on to my affordable favorite. Now this is a very recent find because we didn't have Sephora in the UK until very recently. This is the Best Skin Ever concealer, and I have to stress here that this is for people who shop at the European Sephora only, not the US Sephora. And the reason I say that is both myself and Stephanie Marie were having a conversation about this concealer because I was waxing on about it. I thought it was unbelievable. It actually reminds me a lot of the Lancome All Over concealer. It has a lot of the same qualities as the Lancome All Over, and you know how I feel about that one. This one is a lot more affordable, however. But we were having a conversation, and because of what I said, Stephanie went out and bought this and ended up ringing me saying, what on earth were you on about with this concealer? It is awful on me. How are you getting this to work? So that prompted us to actually have a look at the ingredients on the website. And the ingredients in the US version are completely different to the ingredients in the European version. So if you manage to get this from a European website, hopefully you will get the same one as me and you will love it as much as me, but unfortunately you may find it's a little powdery and patchy and drying if you're in the US. I've no idea why they have different formulas for different parts of the world, but unfortunately they do. We have the good one, and if you're in the US, unfortunately, you may miss out. So the European version of the Sephora Best Skin Ever concealer is buildable, so you can get really good coverage out of this, but I would say it's light medium coverage right from the get-go. You get a natural finish from this, which is incredibly flattering. It's long wearing, doesn't settle in fine lines, gives a little bit of work time before this sets in place, and then for me, it does not move at all. The applicator is a generic paddle applicator, which again, just like the RODIAL color correctors, has a lot of flexibility within the paddle, so you can quite easily apply this directly underneath the eye if you want to, but I like to apply it on the back of my hand and then apply it with my fingertips. Once again, this is alcohol free and fragrance free, and I don't think you can go wrong with this. It's lovely. So I forgot to show you the applicators of my ultimate favorites. Real apologies there. It's because I apply these on the back of my hand and don't apply them directly underneath my eye. The applicator doesn't really matter to me. But the one on the left is the Huda Beauty. It's really, really beautiful. It hugs the contours of the under eyes, as does the one on the right, which is the Lancome All Over Concealer Applicator. Again, hugs the contours of the under eye. It's really nice. The only problem that I have with the Lancome applicator is it's slightly too big for the tube, so you have more difficulties taking the applicator out of the tube, and sometimes you can get a little bit of spillage, so that's my only negative. What can I say? Amazing concealers. So that's it for this video. I really hope you found it helpful. Please don't forget, if you don't want to miss any future videos within this Favorites of 2022 series, click on that like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell. Also, please don't forget to list all of your favorite color correctors and concealers in the comments section. If I haven't tried any of those out, I will definitely go and get my hands on them and try them in 2023. Hope you've enjoyed this video and hope to see you all in the next one. Bye everyone.